If you want to win big with money, then you need to consider these 4 factors whenever you're making a big financial decision. Hello and welcome to Practical Personal Finance. My name is Andrew Shear, and this is where I give you the information you need to understand and succeed with money. Today I'm going to be exploring the concept of opportunity cost and the 4 factors you need to consider whenever you're making a big financial decision. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button too. You never know, you might learn something new about money. Time is money. Have you ever heard that phrase before? Originally coined by the great Ben Franklin, this phrase has to do with opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is all about the things you're sacrificing whenever you make a decision. Let's pretend I had this magical farm on which I could grow any one type of fruit, which I could then sell for $1 a piece. I could produce 4 apples, 2 oranges, or 1 banana. The apples are going to earn me the most money, so that's what I decide to grow. Because I've chosen the apples, I won't have the opportunity to produce any oranges or bananas. That's opportunity cost. There are 4 factors that go into calculating opportunity cost. They are capital allocation, time allocation, present costs, and future costs. Let's take a look at capital allocation and time allocation first. Capital allocation is about how we're using the resources we have. From the perspective of an individual, capital might refer to the amount of money in your bank account. As an example, if you decide to spend $3,000 on a vacation, you can no longer invest that $3,000 in your retirement account. Time allocation has to do with how we're using our time. Time is a limited resource. You've only got so many hours in a day and so many years on this planet. As an example, if that vacation you're taking lasts 2 weeks, you can't use those 2 weeks to spend time with family. That is, unless they're coming with you. To get a better idea of how time and capital allocation are interconnected, I caught up with Jessie Rancourt, author of the book Opportunity Cost Investing.
So in terms of time allocation, if you think about it, we involve our time into producing more value in a business. And that comes at a cost because we can decide to use our time one way or another. And we have to decide where is it in our best interest. And then capital allocation is what usually first comes to our mind, and that's, would I have a bank account with Wells Fargo making 0.03% with fees probably in the negative interest? Or would I rather do Ally Bank at 0.8% interest? And the reason why I have to distinguish between the two is because the audience member probably just heard what I just said and said, duh, go with Ally Bank. However, if I frame it like this, you're now Jeff Bezos and you're making $37,000 an hour. Do you think it's worth your time to change bank accounts from Wells Fargo to Ally Bank? No, and that's because there's the time consideration. So we have to juggle between the two concepts.
Next, let's take a look at present costs and future costs. As the name implies, present costs have to do with what the cost of a decision is right now. From my earlier example with the vacation, it would cost me $3,000 at the time of the decision, whether I decided to take the vacation or to invest that money for retirement. The present costs, at least from a dollar perspective, would be equal. Future costs have to do with what the cost of a decision would be at a later time. If I spent $3,000 on a vacation back in 2010, all I'd have 10 years later are some great memories. But if I invested that money in an index fund in 2010 and reinvested the dividends, I'd probably have about $12,500 right now.
One example I use in the book that I absolutely love is for the present and future costs of capital allocation, your purchase of a car. Most people usually look at the sticker price of $10,000 or so for a car, which is a lot of money for one, and we probably just say that's it. However, with the purchase of a car, we've now, for the entirety of ownership of the car, signed up to pay the registration and the taxes and the maintenance and the upgrades and the gas and the insurance and everything that comes along with owning the car. So we have to look at not only what it costs us today, but what it will continue to cost us.
When you're evaluating a big financial decision, it helps to think about each of these 4 factors to ensure you're making the best possible choice. In his book, Jessie combines the factors using a simple matrix. This type of visualization helps me think carefully about the choices I make. I believe it's also important to remember that circumstances can change over time, which can make it so that our old decisions are no longer in our best interest. Think back to the example from the beginning of this video, where I had to choose between growing 4 apples, 2 oranges, or 1 banana.
We also want to continually monitor the opportunity cost of all our options. Because say 10 years goes by and there's no technological advances to the outputs of apples or oranges. However, bananas have now gone from 1 banana production to 8. We want our farm to shift production into bananas so we can provide the most amount of value. And it makes sense to us. However, it's so funny to see in practice, we actually don't do this. And in psychology, there's a principle called psychological egoism that says we do things in our best interest. But in practice, we find out that it's not always the case, which is pretty funny. Because what happens is we'll look at our fruit farm with our 4 apples or 8 bananas, knowing that the bananas will make us the most amount of value. And instead, we'll have maybe some kind of bias that says, well, we've done apples for so long, or we're comfortable with apples, and we never actually make that shift. So there's a lot of different, I want to say, competencies behind the study of opportunity cost. And in my book, Opportunity Cost Investing, I broke down 5 core competencies. And that is calculating costs, measuring performances, using a benchmark, understanding the psychology, and always being in the pursuit of new opportunities. We don't want to limit ourselves to just those 3 fruit. We want to constantly be adapting. And that is the entirety of opportunity cost.
One of the best real-world examples of this that I've encountered is when I refinanced my student loans. When I originally took the loans out for college, I didn't have much of a choice. I took the interest rate that I was offered because that's what was necessary to continue attending school. But later on, once I was done with school and had entered the workforce, I was able to secure a lower interest rate by applying for a consolidation loan. Had I not taken advantage of the opportunity to refinance because I didn't want to take the time to research other options, or because I was just comfortable with my current situation, the cost to me would have been thousands of dollars in interest fees. Before I go, I want to say thanks to Jessie for a great conversation about opportunity cost. If you want to hear our entire conversation, then check out the brand new Practical Personal Finance podcast, available right now wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to see more of Jessie, check out his YouTube channel, Opportunity Cost Investing. Link is in the description. What are some decisions you've made involving opportunity cost? Let me know in the comments. If you learned something new from this video, give it a thumbs up, and consider supporting my channel by becoming a subscriber with notifications turned on. Thanks for watching. I'm Andrew Scheer, and I'll see you next time.